I had a grandmother who lived in a very old house in one of the lower parts of the city. Those who know Nomi Town, I used to give them the address of my grandmother's house, just so they could see it. But after my grandmother passed away, we rebuilt the house, changing it from wood to brick. I always remembered my grandmother being alone. Even though she has passed away, I still picture her living alone in that house. She used to say strange things. I remember her saying, "Strange creatures come to me in groups and bother me so much." I always remembered the wooden cross she kept in her home, but even with it, they still kept bothering her. She would always tell them to stop, but they never did. I never understood exactly what she meant. It scared me, but I also couldn't believe it. Sometimes she would say things like, "My dear grandchild, why did I have lunch at noon while you were standing there?" I would ask her what she meant, but she never answered clearly. If only I had never gone there that night. I wanted to believe it was all just stories, until one night I stayed out in the courtyard and decided to sleep there. I was afraid, but curiosity overcame me. I lay down, staring at the far end of the yard. It was so big, and in the darkness, I couldn't see the bottom of it clearly. Then, sometime during the night, I saw her. A woman rising from the ground, with long, thick black hair. She looked as if she had grown from the soil itself. My heart pounded. I was frozen. She stood right in front of me. She didn't speak, but I could feel her gaze. Cold, silent, and heavy. She reached for me, as if to pull me into the earth. I wanted to scream, to run to my mum and dad, but I couldn't move. I couldn't even understand what was happening. And then I woke up. The next morning, sunlight crept over the courtyard stones, warm and innocent, as if the night before had never happened. But I knew what I had seen. That woman, her hair thick like ropes, her skin pale as ash, she had looked at me. Not with hatred, not even malice, but something worse by my recognition. I told no one. Who would believe me? My parents thought I had just had a nightmare. Maybe I even tried to believe that too. But something had changed after that night. Every time I returned to that house, even after it was rebuilt with cold bricks instead of old wood, I felt a presence. As if the land itself had memory. As if the earth still held the footprints of those who never truly left. Now I am a grown man, and I am married. My parents moved back to that house. One evening, I went to visit my parents. I stood at the edge of the yard, staring at the ground where the woman had risen, and I noticed something I hadn't seen before. An old wooden cross buried in the soil. I remember that cross was buried with my grandmother. I knelt down to pick it up, but as my fingers touched the wood, a sudden whisper ran through the wind. They still bother me. Still. I raised my hand immediately without touching the cross and stumbled back, heart thudding like a warning drum. It sounded like my grandmother's voice, or something wearing her voice. Later that night, I went through the old wooden chest my grandmother had left behind, one of the few things we hadn't thrown out. Inside were faded photographs, torn letters, and a single braid of black hair wrapped in a red ribbon. A cold draft whispered behind me, chilling my skin like icy fingers. Suddenly, I heard my grandmother's voice, barely more than a breath, mumbling through the shadows. "The scissors in the box. Bury the scissors. They don't let her out. Don't let her out. As long as the scissors stay closed, she stays buried." My blood froze in my veins. Heart pounding, I raced back to the courtyard, the earth beneath my feet seeming heavier, almost unwilling to be disturbed. I knelt and began to bury the scissors deep into the soil. The ground near where I had seen her was unsettled, as if something restless stirred just beneath the surface. That night, the house felt oppressively heavy, not in weight, but in a silence so thick it pressed against my ears, waiting, listening. Sleep eluded me. my mind trapped in a relentless loop of the courtyard, the buried scissors, and that haunting voice that refused to fade.